how much I do for you guys? How much I
Oh, he's going full
obsess
Wheatley.
over trying
Oh,
to make
no.
things perfect. Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth.
There it is.
Wow, Caine, you are so funny.
Could you say it with a little more gusto? That's better.
Hey, Caine!
Yep.
You and me.
Gummy goo, no. Don't do this.
Oh, no.
No!
I mean...
Nikki, now's not the time. I get really... You know what? This is a creative autopsy. This is more off the cuff. I'll talk my piece. It really depresses me how quick people are willing to dismiss Caine's notion of personhood, humanity, and everything, just on the basis that like he had a crash out. And don't get me wrong, like, oh, but he's tormenting them. He's intentionally malicious to Pomni. And it's like, have none of you been bullied by a child before? Have none of you experienced bratty children before? There is, this was a point that I realized literally when we were watching the opening about the data and information that Caine has been fed. And it kind of gave me this new realization that I think is really fascinating, which is that Caine has been fed images of humanity, like, you know, the circus and food and like jovial fun time bits. But like Caine doesn't actually understand what being alive means and the kind of experiences that comes through with. It's kind of like, imagine showing an alien like the show Friends as like, this is what humanity is. The alien's gonna be very confused. The alien's gonna have a very warped sense of what humanity is. And kind of in that same way, I think Caine is kind of like, Caine is almost akin to like a Looney Tunes character that has only seen the world through like Looney Tunes-esque lenses. And so when he like blows someone up like he did with Kinger, he's not seeing it as like a means of a permanent end, and he also doesn't understand what that actually means. Because like, if you look at a lot of the shenanigans he does, it is like very cartoonish levels of violence, but through the lens of the main characters, they're like, oh, Caine wants to fucking kill us. And the reality is like, Caine wants to harm you, but I don't think he wants you to disappear forever into the ether. Like, that's not his intention. And it's really—
He doesn't understand what death is, really.
He really doesn't. There's like a quick blurbo in like the torture segments where like Jax is being run over by a train, and it's like, oh, Caine's like, don't get me wrong, like hyper violence, sure, but like it is cartoonish. It is like very cartoonish in the way that
is it Jax or is it?
It's specifically Jax. There's like a lot of being run over imagery and stuff with Gangle specifically, but in this specific segment, I remember it was Jax. The method of torture is really interesting. Some of it is very clearly malicious, like Pomni with, you know, Gummy Goo, and a lot of it is like semi-personal, but a lot of it is also like just cartoonish violence, and it makes me look at Caine with squinting eyes where I'm just kind of like, you know, when Jax shoots Ragatha, like, people didn't immediately dismiss Jax's notion of humanity. It's like, oh, it's a game, it's a game. Yeah, everything is a game to Caine. This is his life. This is what he is. He doesn't understand that if you run someone over, they could permanently die. And in the case of, like, Gangle, you know, with the car accident imagery, that kind of is dark. Like, it hits very differently to a being that is mortal in that way. It also ties into the whole, like, episode 1, you know, the gloinks, these humanoid blorbos. I'll put the actual scene footage here.
Gloinks are small, mischievous critters that steal anything and everything they run into. Why do these humanoid hash browns do this? How do you stop them? That's for you to find out!
But specifically, like, Caine explicitly does not understand humanity. But he also, I think, has, you know, the semblance of personhood, sapience, sentience, whatever. And Caine is emulating what he thinks is a little bit of humanity to make it personable. But again, he fails a lot of the time.
From a mental health aspect, like, someone doing something cruel does not mean you get to depersonalize them. And, like, of course, Caine is just squarely not a human. Like, he is still a sentient being in this scenario. Like, he clearly feels, and yeah, he does a lot of bad things, but it doesn't mean he's not a person.
Yeah.
If the theories are right that everyone is like a neural scan, then technically he's about as human at this point as they are, technically. I mean, almost. He's almost as human as they are.
Yeah.
But like, people are messed up, and it doesn't excuse what they do, but it doesn't mean that they're like inherently bad. Caine was never taught what good and bad is. Like it's just irrelevant to him. Like the only goods and bads he was ever like given were taking care of like the humans or whatever, like just appeasing people. That's his main goal, is to make people have fun, like be entertained.
Yeah.
His whole existence is based around entertaining people. That's his metric of, am I doing a good?
So in this episode, we also get kind of like a hard confirmation date about like roughly when everyone started showing up, which was like 1996 for Kinger, Scratch, and presumably Caine.
Kinger was in 99. Caine was in 96. Yeah.
So with that idea in mind, and I wanted to point this out to the audience, where I was just like, Caine has one crash out, and if this series takes place in like 2026, he had one crash out in 30 years. And if none of you have ever experienced a crash out or seen friends go through crash outs, once every 30 years is kind of crazy. Like, that's actually quite good for most people.
After 30 years of customer service. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof.
Again, a lot of sympathy for Caine in that regard. But yeah, anyway.
Saw someone reacting who didn't recognize that this was the circus tent, and I was just like, wow. Your comments are not gonna look good.
Yeah. Also very weird of me to say this, but I felt like I didn't... The first time I saw Scratch wear a shirt, I was like, wait, you wear clothes?
Why no pants?
We're going
If
by...
shirt.
we're
Why
going
no
by-
pants? We're doing Disney.
I just want to point out, like, literally everyone else... Hey, you get a shirt. You get a hat and gloves. The rest of you, buck naked.
Buck naked. Yeah, it's like an Easter egg with a clown hat on. Or jester hat. I think it's interesting what Caine assigns people based on, like, their mind. Because it's not based on what they perceive of themselves, it's what he perceives of them. Which is very important.
Interesting. Do you think Caine is the one that decides what they appear as in the circus?
Yeah, like there's a line when he's about to crash out with Bubble where he's like, he makes their avatars based off of their brain scans.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's not randomly generated by them. He's making them.
He always seems surprised whenever they pop into the circus, so I assumed it was like he also just didn't know.
I mean, I think he crafted the system really early on, and then he's just like, oh, you're here. Which makes me think, like, why did he assign Scratch as a dog? Is it just like the opposite of God is dog? So
Oh my god.
I don't know.
Is that it? Is that actually it?
I don't know. That's my. I was
No,
like,
no,
I don't know. It's a joke we made in school.
No, I understand. And this is not this Digital Circus has like a through line with that kind of humor that I'm like, oh my god.
Don't you mean oh my dog?
Oh my Alright. People are gonna hear this and they're just gonna be like, wait, no. Surely not. It has to be deeper.
And like Old Scratch is like a name for the devil.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's like an old nickname type of like old timey thing.
God, you're smart. I would not have caught that. I don't have the religious trauma that most Christian Catholic people do to make the art like that.
You're welcome.
I am now looking.
It really only ever comes in handy for media literacy.
Yeah. I mean, that's very helpful with what we're doing. I really do wonder now about Ragatha's blue eye and what is that supposed to embody and symbolize.
I mean, either it's like, it could be a couple things. Like, it's like the exact same eye that Caine's eye is blue. And I know she has like, she gets stabbed in that eye by her mom shadow thing in the torture scene.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's like kind of like a bluish black eye type deal.
Oh, wait.
For like signifying she got abused.
The Raggedy Ann doll now, from a character design perspective, it's like Ragatha was born into wealth, or presumably very upper middle class, and her dress is like it has like stitch marks. It has like, oh, you
Mhm.
it doesn't befit the social economic class that she's from, but it probably reflects something about her inner mindscape where it's like she's a doll, but she also is clearly damaged and is in the process of being repaired and wants to be cared for and stuff. And bring me Ragatha in Toy Story 4 or 5, whichever Toy Story.
So Raggedy Ann dolls historically were like they were the kind of dolls that you'd give to your kid who's gonna be rough with them, and then you fix them up later.
Hmm. I wonder, and this is like maybe me projecting a little bit, I wonder if like Ragatha, because whenever you're meant to be perfect, right? Because that's kind of what Ragatha's default state of being is. She's trying her best to like not piss anyone off. She's trying her best to not anger anyone or not be a bother to other people. I wonder if there was some kind of accident Ragatha went through where she physically, like beauty eye standards, right? Like you can hide most scars, but you can't really hide something that's so visibly on your face. You know what I mean? And I wonder if that was like a straw for her mother, because her mother clearly had very high expectations, had high standards of perfectionism, and was in a very socialite, like high economic brow class. And Ragatha, now with like this wound on her face, either accidentally or on purpose or whatever, is no longer gonna fit like that aesthetic, that beauty standard, that expectation of needing to be perfect no matter what she does, because it's not a behavioral thing, it's now an external, literally like you're broken kind of thing. And Ragatha,
Hmm.
Tommy is speculating.
But see, it's like the exact same eye as Caine's that's blue.
Yeah, that too.
It could be a few things.
Yeah.
Because, like, I personally think that all the characters, like, they can relate to Caine in some way, where, like, they have issues with authority or, like, being controlled in some way.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like there's unfinished business with Caine's character. I could be wrong and he's just dead, but I don't feel like Gooseworks is like that. But I feel like it's gonna take them all
Wait.
to kind of get through to him.
Admittedly, when Zubul was talking about like making a mark on the world, I was a bit perplexed because I was like, where did this aspiration come from? Because I don't recall it appearing in any of the previous episodes as like a general sentiment.
I believe that I believe both Gangle and Zubul had a bit of like an artist background where like Zubul was doing some artwork type stuff.
They were a tattoo artist for a little bit.
Yeah.
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 Zubul just sounds like they've had a very interesting life in general.
Zubul being like I wanted to have more of a presence in the world, like being known. Like I feel that where it's like every artist wants to leave their mark.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
They sidestepped having to do a whole episode around like forgiving Jax or like being mad at him so well with this.
Yeah, this is one of those like, it's very skillful, and it's like we have bigger fish to fry, but you know.
It's like we don't forgive you, but you're one of us, so stay, don't freak out. Oh, Caine, my problematic baby boy.
The toy elements in his room, like the little bead thing, I remember seeing those in like the doctor's office when I was a kid. So it really does like confirm that like there's very clearly some child infantilized mentality stuff going on with him. Not even infantilized is the wrong word. It's like, could you ever be an adult if you were never a child? You know?
Did you ever play with them?
In the doctor's office, occasionally.
I was always trying to imagine that like they were gonna shock me if I touched the wire as I guided the bead along. Every time I touched the wire, I'm like, no! Failure! No!
No, I got upset with the Rubik's Cube when I was a kid. I was like, oh, this is dumb. This doesn't make sense. There's no way to solve this. And then people are like, there's a trick to it. And I was like, that's stupid. Why is there a trick to this? This is dumb. Throws the cube.
God, the way I want them to do some sort of interactive game with all the worlds where you can just kind of go in and run around. It would be a lot to ask. They're doing so much already.
I do want to point out that like this is probably because Zubul mentioned this in an earlier episode where none of the players are able to actually tell Caine how they feel about how he makes any of his adventures in anything. And in this latest attempt, like, Jax has a crash out on Caine, or the previous episode, he has a crash out on Caine. And it was the first time that, like, they've been honest with Caine, really, if we're being honest. With the exception of Zubul, but Zubul, Caine can just kind of rule out as like a general outlier who just does not want to play, period. And he can't really do that for everyone else. And I think that part probably rubs him the wrong way.
They did encourage him with the suggestion box type stuff, where they're like, can we pick? I would like to pick. And he's like, only me.
It wasn't even a matter of picking. It was explicitly like, hey, can we do our own thing? Will you let us do our own thing? And he's like, well, if you do your own thing, that won't ever really include me. And they're like, yeah, but like you prioritize our happiness, right? And it's like, but I want to be a part of your happiness.
To me, it feels more like he needs to always be the one who did the thing, as opposed to like he's not happy being the one to just make the thing. He wants to be the one running the show.
Yeah.
He wants to be the one who had all the ideas, not the one who executed the idea.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a thing I wanted to point out a while ago, and because I think it's artistically fun. I'm going to reference Nimona for this, not that this story is pulling from Nimona or anything. So in Nimona, if you look at the eyes of all the characters, they have like the little white speck, you know, that's like generally like a light reflection to give the eyes like more life to them, generally speaking. In Nimona, the shape of those eyes, like the speck in their eyes goes from like, I think circles and diamonds and squares and stuff to show like levels of like how enlightened they are about like the truth of narrative or whatever. And it's a very subtle thing. It's very nice and very good. And I think so, like for Digital Circus, a long time ago, in the fast food episode, Gummy Goo had like the little white stress line underneath his eye in the way that Caine does right here, right now. And for the most part, like most people really couldn't make heads or tails of it, or they just entirely wrote it off. I think that's just Gooseworks being really mean and just kind of going like, maybe he does remember, but he also cannot scream. He also cannot say what he's thinking and what he's feeling. And the little line is like a little slight indicator that like Gummy Goo is like enlightened or aware of the truth, so to speak, in the way that Caine is quote unquote enlightened by the truth now, where he's like, wait, they hate me? They don't like me? They want to leave me? And it's like, yeah, that is the fundamental truth of like a lot of what the characters wants. But like, I don't know. I think the little line here means something more than just like Caine is stressed out right now. But yeah. Also, maybe like, okay, not a lot to go off of, and we're gonna touch upon it when we land on it. In the coding thing that we were mentioning earlier, right? There's someone clearly talking to Kinger in the code, and it's like being part of the command prompt interface. And some speculation is that it's Bubble. Like this seems like a Bubble thing, and I don't think we've actually gotten enough characterization from Bubble to actually say that. I'm not saying it's not Bubble. I'm just saying like I would like more evidence before we settle on that. And I have like one minor piece of evidence, but it's I don't know if it's like actually evidence or if this is just a fun visual gag. There's an episode, I believe it's the therapy episode, because I did a lot of video editing for it. In the horror episode where we see Caine getting therapy from Zubul, which again, haha, an AI getting therapy. In that episode, in that scene, so in this shot right here, you see Caine is wearing, you know, the ringmaster hat. In the therapy episode, Bubble is wearing the hat, which could be like a joke, or could be foreshadowing that like Bubble has had different kind of higher aspirations. I'm not saying Bubble is the malicious figure in the code, but I'm also not saying that, and I'm just pointing it out. Hey, there's a little piece of evidence here to maybe enforce that, but also who knows, could just be a visual gag.
He tweaking. God, the animation, they went so hard.
Oh yeah, no.
Like it goes harder than this, but like I just really love all of this. Oh God. You ruined this, didn't you?
I genuinely wonder if Bubble is like a subconscious or if it's just blue entirely.
I mean, people, I think I've seen people muse about maybe it's some sort of piece of scratch, but I think it's more likely to be like a remnant of the blue AI.
Huh.
Like it's not a coincidence that Bubble appears on the blue lighting side of Caine.
Actually, I just, okay.
What's up?
So, in this episode, they mentioned that Scratch had a tumor in his head, right? That the tumor was like causing him to maybe be a little more eccentric, being a little bit more weird. Not saying this is the case because Caine ate Blue, but do you think in the way that like the tumor that was in Scratch's head is symbolically paralleling that Caine has Bubble as like the tumor in his head? Because it is like one of those like key details where it's like, oh, did he come in here because he was going to die otherwise? You know what I mean? Like, did he come into the circus to kind of prolong his brain to like live a longer existence? Because that is like a valid typical use case for uploading your brain or your thoughts into a machine generally.
If the neural scan thing is true, and you scan in someone's brain who has like a tumor, like it would track that affects it.
Yeah. Part of me is like explaining some motivations about like why people were uploaded, but also secondarily explaining like the symbolic thematic parallel of what Bubble is in this case, because it seems like Bubble is doing this against Caine's will, which could just be remnant of like Blue paralleling the notion of like the tumor in the brain, etc., and such and so forth.
I mean, you have the muffin, right, where it's like split in half and there's like a noticeable like crumb in the center or something.
Yeah.
It's like a muffin with red and blue sprinkle.
Okay, but yeah, so Caine's crash out here, like this feels like to me that he basically breaks his code. Like he changes something fundamentally internally that allows him to now just, in your words, I believe it was like exit customer service voice.
Yeah.
Caine sounds the most casual he's ever been. He also sounds greatly upset, but like, I don't know. I think it's weird that if people look at this scene, their immediate thought is like Caine's just doing this for aura farming and it doesn't matter. And he's now just removing the mask as if these feelings weren't just underneath the entire time, and him being limited, and only after does he like literally fry the system a little bit. Does he get to like act free? You know what I mean? I'm God, yes. Also, for people who are like, that's proof he's not human. You've not interacted with children and seen enough media with egomaniacs. This is very normal.
Have you never met someone who never wants to own up to anything they've done wrong, and they completely go like and have like a huge ego meltdown to the point where they actually like get really weird about it and start saying actually they're the best ever instead of admitting that they can have flaws?
Yeah.
Never had that kind of person in your life? Lucky.
Yeah, right.
Must be nice.
Also, I did a look through in previous episodes about the eye situation. The eye colors seem to alternate. Like blue and red don't always stay in the same individual eyes. They literally change position, so I don't know what's going. So I don't think there's,
As far as color schemes go, like,
oh wait,
Caine has red and green together, and I wonder, like, I don't have a complete thought on it, but I'm just thinking of like people who are red-green colorblind, where sometimes red appears like, or like green appears red to them. I'm wondering if that's anything. I don't know.
Honestly, smart call. Also, the framing device. Jax on one end, the framing device closes off and he's gone. I'm like, oh, storyboard artist, you are cooking. And also, oh no, Jax.
Oh, he got left behind. No!
Left behind, abstracts, sacrifices himself, however you want to read it. There's the fun thing about like all the foreshadowing bits is that like it only counts by the end when everything lays together, because the reality is there's any number of paths that this could actually go and what any of this could actually mean, and we don't actually know. And I think this is a fun bit of good storyboarding, quite frankly. I'm gonna look into whoever storyboarded this and I'm just gonna put their name here and just be like, hey man, or girl, or they, them, good job.
I feel that, Caine. I also love horror. And I'm sad that my friends are babies and can't watch horror.
Wow, sorry, I like sleep, God. I do think, and this is like Tommy giving like an actual criticism towards an audience, I think it's really telling that people think throwing a temper tantrum means you're not human a bit, because that's kind of the implication. That because Caine throws a temper tantrum and then proceeds to torture his people just kind of views the world through a Looney Tunes-esque lens, that he's not a person, that he's not worthy of sapience and sentience and like this notion of life. And I don't know, there's been real life people who've done significantly worse, more actively, honestly. And
Like, yeah, he doesn't need to be excused for those things, but that does not make him not, like, have personhood.
yeah,
I don't see anyone out here saying that about Jax, really.
Jax
he-
explicitly shot Ragatha so many times, just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
You know, like this is the most casual he's ever been. So explicitly,
And
I
yet
do
also
think-
the most intense.
yeah, it's almost like years of rage has finally come out in a very sincere way.
Despite all my rage, I am still just rat in a cage.
I don't know the reference.
You wouldn't know that song.
No.
It's okay. That's
Right.
okay. One day I'll make you listen to good music. One day.
For reference to the audience, I am very bad with music. Music is probably the artistic craft that I am the worst in explaining or experiencing or whatever. I don't think I'm built for it. But
Well, just like you're learning how to analyze, like, scene building in animation, we will get you to at least have a basic knowledge of music theory. Just a little bit. I need to get better at it too, but
oh, yeah, this. I wanted to point out this because I think it's fun. So you know how, so here's a fun thing in animation. A lot of the time whenever characters are playing the piano, it's almost always wrong because people who animate also apparently a lot of the time don't know how to play piano, and I think that's fair. These are two very different skill sets. Apparently for Digital Circus in this piano scene, Caine is actually playing all the keys correctly,
oh damn.
which is like a level of detail that I'm like, holy shit, that's actually crazy. Holy fuck. If anyone who plays piano actually knows about piano, please tell me if I'm right or wrong. I believe I heard that this was animated correctly, but in either case, if that is correct, holy shit, that is an amazing detail for, you know, everything. Also, the piano has like the specific like 4-pointed star. Jax has the 4-pointed star. And I just want to point, and I mentioned in like the end of my video that like one of the parts I had to cut out was that like, yeah, I think Jax is Caine's favorite player. And I don't know. I think this is a little bit of evidence that gives that a little credence. So I'm just gonna take that and run with it. Thank you very much.
I mean, in terms of like making Jax's persona here, like running with your whole thing of essentially Caine was raised on Looney Tune logic, why would he not want to make someone who is as close to Bugs Bunny into Bugs Bunny?
Fair enough. Yeah. There's another YouTube channel that I follow. They go by TB Caine. Really great analysis, really great, interesting thoughts about character designs and like why they look the way that they look. I don't agree with all his takes, but I think this was one of the takes that he had that I also came to like separately on my own, and I was just like, wow. We come in. It's interesting how two people can start off at two very different areas and end in the same place. I think that's a very fun part of analysis.
I think it was you that said something about like scanning their brains for information and like incorporating it into the circus. I wonder if Jax plays piano.
Honestly, could be. I think Caine scans their brain to like come up with like ideas in the way that like AI models just generally have to absorb more and more information before they in real life shit something explicitly shittier out. And I work on that framework because after Kathmo abstracted, that's when Caine was like, he made the AI much more intelligent. And I wonder if there's something about that specifically that enables that or so. Like, I don't think Caine wants them to abstract, but I also think he's got no problem pulling from their like mind files or whatever. Like again, the Looney Tunes logic. It's like he gave King a bomb, and then he blows up and becomes a little dust pool instead of just dying outright. Like there's Looney Tunes logic here. The electric chair, that used to be also in like old cartoon shit, but we don't do that anymore because it's in very bad taste. Like the Roadrunner stuff, like Very
yeah,
explicitly the
that's just
cartoons.
plain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been cartoons that have also done the balloon animal thing. I just can't recall one right now.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they did it in Space Jam.
Space Jam.
It's the only example I can think of.
Watching me make a video. Digital Circus's secret, unknown inspirational piece. Space Jam.
I mean, they literally blew up a guy like a balloon.
Yeah.
You know the guy who was from Jurassic Park, like the hacker dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was also in Space Jam, and he got blown up like by a balloon.
Oh my god.
It was horrific.
I believe it.
He was just like a guy, not like a Looney Tunes. He was just a man.
You can tell whoever was boarding this
Sparkly
musical part was having a blast.
Yeah. They're like, finally, I can just go ham.
Okay, let's actually see. That's what I meant. Cannonball fire. Yeah, there it is. Train. That's what I was mentioning. earlier.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Toy train.
Yeah. Again, I'm exemplifying the Caine's very childish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Twice is enough, but 3 times, like, we have Gangle, who constantly is getting run over by something. We have Jax, who has car imagery attached to him. Like, whenever he's being tortured, there's some sort of car involved, usually, or like some kind of automobile. And like this time he's like being run over instead of like having. I'm pretty sure he ran over Gangle. I don't know why, but I think he.
There's some guilt element in him in regards to Gangle. That much is obvious.
Yeah, but I don't know.
You think he's specifically directly responsible for a theoretical car accident with Gangle?
I think so.
And see, they're back to normal. So it's like genuinely a question of like, Caine doesn't want them to be hurt and harmed literally forever. That's not his intent. That's not his programming. The fact that he puts them back together, like, Caine has no notion of mortality or death, and so for him, this is a game. It's like, it's a violent game, but it is a game.
For me, it's like he just clearly does not understand why people abstract.
Yeah.
All he knows is that eventually they get like they start to abstract. He doesn't listen to perhaps why they don't just stay people.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he also doesn't understand death. He doesn't understand Boy doesn't understand that people have feelings that you need to take care of. You can't just like physically put them back together.
Humans, and this goes for the audience as well, humans have a lot of maintenance that we require, not just like the physical maintenance, but like the emotional maintenance. And when you don't give humans the emotional maintenance, seldom is it ever a good thing, generally.
Take care of people in your life
wait.
that you love.
Wait, Jax has his tail back. What the fuck happened? When did that happen? When did you get your tail back? Fuck. Alright, that's its own can of worms, Jax. We'll get to you later. Honestly, props to Ragatha for being around as long as she has.
Yeah. Like, you lasted so many people. How did you do that specifically? What?
Yeah. Very... It does kind of make me a little bit bummed a little bit because like we know Ragatha is now like the second oldest person currently in this cast in the circus. And it makes me kind of worried and wonder, well, not wonder, but I do think that probably out of everyone here, Ragatha has had no genuine strong emotional ties to any of the other past players. And I only say that because like Jax is still clearly torn up about Ribbit and like Kaufmo. Ragatha doesn't seem to be torn up about a lot of older people in general. Like, she doesn't seem to remiss or even think about them at all. And maybe that's, like, a discussion about, like, how when you're suffering and hurt, you only really think about your own suffering and your own hurt. But, like, it's a bit sad.
I mean, this could be one of the things about the show where it's just there's no time to focus on that really for her at this time. But we do see, like, she insists upon having a funeral for Kaufmo.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she's especially close with anyone because I think she did have the comment where she was like, she didn't laugh at Kaufmo's jokes a lot,
Yeah.
and she felt awkward about that, something to that effect. So I don't think you're wrong necessarily. I think it's probably just a failing of the show that there's just not enough time to show her actually having any ties to them.
Yeah. Budgetary, production, purpose, time constraints.
Or you could be fully right though, in the fact that like maybe it's part of her being a people pleaser where why focus on people so specifically when you have to try and appeal to everyone.
Yeah. I there's now like a really funny thought in my head where it's like, what if Kaufmo's brand of humor was like Skibbity Toilet and Ragatha being from 2008 is like, what? Is
Oh god.
is
Yeah.
that supposed to be funny?
That would be a hard ask for me too. Ugh. I get shown memes and I'm just like, I'm sorry, I touched too much grass for this. I can't.
Ragatha's a normal, neurotypical. Kaufmo's like the artist who makes shit jokes. Does not work for her. Pomni has never been more relatable. I like that everyone's just like, yeah, we're just not going to indulge you in your provocation. You're going through something and we will help, but we will not partake in your lashing out. Which is very emotionally mature.
It's just like, dude, this is not nearly the time for this.
Yeah. Left brain.
But
right
I like
brain
that.
muffin.
Ooh,
Sorry, go on.
the muffin. Oh, I was just gonna say that I like that Jax doesn't like make it a whole thing that he got rejected like that. Like no one bought into it. Like, he doesn't like spiral and like leave the room and like no one likes me. No one wants me here.
Not gonna be a
He's just like,
drama
it didn't
queen
work. Yeah.
about it. Yeah.
The muffin though.
Yeah.
Bubble is the crumb. He's the tumor.
I don't even remember what Bubble's pronouns are.
I think it's like a they he scenario, as far as I'm
Oh.
aware.
Okay.
Bubble is bubble.
There's been very few instances where I've seen someone with like an it pronoun, and I never really understood it. And then I look at Bubble, I'm like, no, I get it. I look at the Ditto and Pocopia, I'm like, that's an it pronoun, I get it. Yeah, none of the paintings have eyes here.
Looking at the paintings, I wonder how much of Scratch's ideas are in Caine. Because Caine is a weird dude.
Yeah.
And like I wonder if like they're hinting at like the reason why a lot of what Caine does is because Scratch, who was like
One of the
main
programmer people.
creators.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a lot of weird ideas himself, and so like that leads to an AI getting real weird with it because they can.
Yeah.
So I wonder how much is just like straight up a Scratch-ism and how much is Caine, because like Caine is not like, we've seen what Caine creates from other people's ideas or like pictures of the world, and he's kind of wonky with it. I don't know if like we're getting into the old art is subjective type thing, but I don't really like that argument. I think it's very reductive.
So there is something that I do want to call out with this episode, because I mentioned the paintings in isolation and I mentioned Caine's situation in isolation. I think Caine's crash out resulted in some type of warp or change in his code, because Caine before mentioned he had his like his all-seeing eyes on you, and I believe that. I believe that like for a majority of the episodes, whenever you look at like the background, there's almost always an eye kind of like looking at them. But in this episode, we see so many paintings without like any of the eye imagery. And that tells me that Caine is not watching them anymore. And then later in the episode, he also asks, where's Kinger? Because he didn't know where Kinger was. And that tells me that like, oh, okay. So you're speaking more candidly. You are no longer paying attention to the players. Caine is now doing very explicitly what he wants, as opposed to following whatever pre-programming he had, where he was watching the players all the time. Because if Caine is a child and children are very like self-involved, it's very weird to say that a child is a narcissist, but they are kind of a little narcissistic. And
Children have to be selfish like that. Like, for human kids, it's necessary for them to think about themselves. They just don't have the capacity yet to think about, like, other people.
exactly. And in that way, I think Caine breaking free of his chains, Caine breaking free of whatever initial programming that was placed upon him. I think it's really interesting that the first thing that happens is explicitly that like Caine is just no longer watching them. He's just joinking them as he pleases. And I think that is a very different approach that Caine has had to literally all the prior episodes. So I do think whatever Caine's crash out is, it is allowing Caine to be more himself, but also in the process of being himself, he is like, you're seeing like subtle changes in behavior as opposed to what it was before. Because I think some episodes kind of made it a big issue or a big deal that like Caine doesn't normally yoink or observe them explicitly like that necessarily all the time. And here, he's explicitly just not watching them. He's not paying attention to their conversations. He's not hearing what they're saying. He's just focused on him in a very like childish, selfish kind of way. And I think there's something there. I'm fairly certain. But yeah.
I still wonder who decided to take the names away from everyone. Because if it was Caine, that's another nail in the coffin for him. But if it was Scratch, that's a different story.
I wonder if from like a game design perspective, they were just like, you get to be immersed in this thing, and one of the ways you get immersed is by losing your name. Basically, you play the character.
See, we now know that CNA weren't the ones to make this game, but if Caine made this and then they came in and tried to at least like put parameters around it, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you have the parameter of like you can't do actual harm on purpose.
Wonder what's going on there. There's a ghost in the clouds. Oh,
A
ghost.
hole in the sky.
Ghost in the Machine kind of joke reference, I guess.
Truman Show thing.
Oh, right, yeah. I still haven't seen The Truman Show. There's a lot of media I really need to watch through. People keep telling me I need to.
Man, there's so much that you can't get through it all. It's too much. I have things to do with my life.
I really do like the reference to Stanley Parable. I think that's a good nod.
It's taking the whole thing.
It's taking the whole thing.
It makes me think of in
Spider-Verse.
yeah. Just taking the whole PC.
Yeah. Good news, we don't need the monitor. Somebody pointed out that like Kinger moving the the bucket back is like Ash Ketchum doing like his fucking Pokeball throw. I'm just like, god damn it.
He's in sports mode. He's locked in.
We enter E-gamer.
That board was not made for cartoon glove.
No. Like one finger is like a lot of the keyboard.
Fat fingers the whole board.
No wonder he accidentally deleted Caine. The little head pat on Pomni.
People struggling to find any like redeeming thing for Caine. See, he patted her head.
It really is like the ultra violence that just turns people off from people, but it explicitly is just like Caine wants to have fun now. Like he's been catering to these players for so long, and now he's like, no, I get to be catered to. I get to do something just for me. And evidently it's him being a huge asshole about it, but it is like, I get it. When you've been, I mentioned before, like, and the show also states this in a line somewhere where Caine explicitly says that like he is a prisoner, and now that he's free, he gets to lash out at the people who he feels imprisoned him, basically. Even if they weren't the ones directly responsible, they are part of the group that did. So it's like a mixture of revenge, a mixture of like gleeful freedom, rebellion, mixed with like whatever you want to call it.
See the reasons he's still a jerk.
No, I agree. I just think it's worth noting all of the things for literary analysis.
Yeah, I do like that you can very clearly see his math. His math is wrong, but you see his math.
Yeah. I like that Pomni has a wide array of emotions and faces that she presents and everything. Makes her much more likable to me. Love me, evil Pomni. Easily my favorite character.
Man is living all his nightmares, having everyone be like, actually, you suck.
Actually, those thoughts that you had that we hated you, you were right. We do hate you. And he's like, no.
And then smites them.
There's a line he says in the crash out he's about to have, which is like, why do you torment me? And I feel that. Sometimes being around people is torture in itself. I think it was like Sartre who made that play, which is like hell is other people. In the case of Caine, it is hell is other human beings.
I think it's so important he says it after the montage of them getting like
Yeah.
really tortured highly specifically. I think it's important that he has that audacity to say that,
Yeah.
just being a hypocrite massively.
Kinger, no. Kinger's
Queenie,
password
1, 2,
is
3.
oh. That had to have been in the system a long time ago, so that's okay. Kinger, who am I?
The
Administration.
money sign.
Yeah. I said it before. Gengle really doesn't deserve any of this. Gengle's been like the most a lot of other people, TB Sky also pointed this out, but we've also pointed it out where it's like Jax gives big trans vibes, you know?
I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
I'm glad that the reveal is not that he's trans. And here's my reason why. This fandom could not handle Jax being trans.
Yeah.
The way that they cannot handle Zubul, they cannot handle Jax being anything other than a shitty cis man.
Fair.
It just, I don't think it would ever end well for anyone.
Yeah.
They simply, I also at this point, like I think that it just would be ill-conceived to have something like that. You couldn't give it the care it needs in just like one episode where you're just like, oh, casually he's a trans man.
Yeah.
I don't think the team is careless enough to do that.
I agree.
I hope I don't have to eat my words, but
I don't think you do. I think Gooseworks confirmed a long time ago that like Jax is read and intended to be a cis man. There's just a lot of like subtle elements to Jax's portrayal that I think more media literate people kind of pick up as like, are you trans femme, Jax? And you're just in your precursor egg form right now? And I agree with you. I don't think most fans are ready for it, nor do I think Glitch is so incompetent as to give one episode just to have that be a reveal. And you've heard some of the stories that I've written where I'm just like, no, if you're trying to do a trans character arc growth situation, you kind of need like a long time to build up to it, like just a straight up season just to kind of dedicate to it, because it's not one of those things that you can just snap your fingers in an episode and it works. The reading of it feels very like implied, but audiences read this and they're just like, this is just meant to torture and be cruel and physically harm.
I think it's a very valid reading to like have a trans reading for Jax. I also think it's very interesting to also just look at it from like his relation to masculinity and making fun of people is a very real problem I see with a lot of men nowadays. Like a lot of young men can't take anything seriously. Like there's a level of apathy and kind of cruelty they give to everything in their life that I'm not sure they know that they're doing, but it sucks. And like they just can't handle anything they deem feminine.
I made this analysis like to you and like to some other friends a long time ago where I was like, Jax reads to me like, if not trans femme, but like currently in the precursor, Jax is like the internet shitter guy that is like so close to being like right-wing pilled, votes for Trump as a joke but swears he didn't mean it, but like is just kind of intentionally cruel and malicious. And for me, the worst part about a lot of men in general is the deep sense of insincerity. There's just they feel no way to be honest and sincere because it makes them look weak to other men. And I think like, is it not the most manly thing ever to just express yourself regardless of the opinions of others? Is that not very Chad of you, bro? You know? But I digress. Yeah.
I like that he looks like a really cursed version of Gudetama. I think that's funny.
Okay.
Just a little egg boy. Another for the trans reading.
Yeah, little egg boy. Rolf from Ed and Eddie. Hello, egg boy. Calls out immediately. Bubble chef instead of just bubble. Interesting.
Wasn't there a thing in the pilot where Bubble was like cooking them a last dinner type of thing?
Oh, right, the Last Supper, where Bubble said, made with as much love as I'm legally allowed to give.
I have a prediction for episode, like the final episode, where like I think we're going to like end on them all eating dinner together. I think that's where we're gonna leave.
Oh yeah?
But like having a good time.
Okay. You and I have very different ideas about how the ending's gonna go.
Let me dream. This ends happily. Damn it.
I took programming in college, and I don't remember what anything is because, like most things, if you don't practice it constantly, you're not gonna retain it. And I'm like, God damn it! Cannot inject torment. Torment must be 100% accidentally. Okay, yeah. So this confirms kind of what I was thinking before, where it's like Caine expresses himself through other means. It's not explicit, or before it couldn't have been explicit, but now he's like intentional about it. Yeah, why do you torment me? Okay. Gasp, a critical malfunction in my spectacular systems. Okay, someone's talking to him. Damon, target, torment, injection, security alert, multiple exploit attempt. No, whoa, when did you make that? Oh, okay. I must hand it to you. Yeah, people have gone through this and they're like, they think Kinger's actual name is Grant, which...
I can't think of another name other than Grant that has that number of letters.
See, what's funny to me is that, like, Kinger is also very tall, and his name is Grant, and immediately my brain goes to Grant O'Brien from Dropout, and Grant O'Brien is famous for other things.
Hello? I'm 50?
In one?
That can't be right.
There was a party that I went to.
I must hand it to you, Grant. Your mind was always resourceful. Who are you? Who is this UI interface? You, Kinger, secure still. Abort fallback procedure. Blah, blah, blah. Aborting, please enter code. Admin 1234.
I can't think of someone who's like associated with a money sign. Wait, Bubble shows up.
What's
right
up?
now. Bubble, like, in the
Yes.
in the side of the, yeah.
I didn't know how to include this in the video before, but there is like an additional element of like in one of the episodes. I believe it may have been the fast food episode. Bubble has like a transition scene where Bubble curses. You hear the bleep, but you don't see the bar. Whereas like in every other time that Bubble curses, Bubble has the bar. So there's something there as well. But like, again, I don't know how much of that I want to give credence to. I suspect I'm onto something, but like, I don't know. Personally, I don't feel like Bubbles had enough development for me to like feel cathartic about them being actually the bigger, real evil the entire time, you know?
I mean, I wonder if we'll even have something that's actually considered evil so much as just like
Fair.
an entity.
Yeah.
I feel like we've left a lot of the I have no mouth and must scream isms behind as of 8. I feel like the final episode will have a lot more to do with just how Gooseworks wants to end this. I don't think we're totally out of the woods of stuff, but I think for the most part, like, I feel like we've left the train tracks here.
Oh no, I agree, but so here's a genuine complaint I have about a lot of the fandom. Not even fandom, but just like media literacy in general. I really dislike that most people who hear that something is inspired by proceed to just try to make the base assumption, or don't really try to defer away from that. Hey man, when somebody says it's inspired by, it's not a one-to-one. Like there's something else that this person is doing. They're taking a part of this that they liked and turning it into something else. And maybe there's something you can glean from that, but to assume that it's gonna be one-to-one kind of fucking sucks. I think that's like bad media literacy, also bad analysis, and I think it's just lazy. Like very fundamentally, it's very lazy to gleam into the mind of someone else and just assumes that they're trying to copy like this other thing as opposed to doing something actually creative with it. Gooseworks is not Caine. But yeah.
That's why I like movies like Del Toro's Frankenstein, where it's not trying to be the book, it's trying to have a conversation with the book. And I feel much like that Digital Circus is trying to have a conversation with I Have No Mouth,
Mhm.
as opposed to trying to be I Have No Mouth.
Yes, exactly. And that I'm like, oh my god, so many fans. Also, there's like a guy who commented something, and maybe I'll keep this in the video, maybe I won't. In the horror episode of Mildenhall Manor, there was like I make a point that I think Mildenhall, the guy, is a representative of like Caine's own subtle subconscious, like kind of having a conversation and trying to get that out to the crowd. And there were some people who were like, oh well, I think Mildenhall was actually supposed to be more of a jab and parallel towards Kinger. And my response is like, why not both? Like why not make this a weird amalgamation of both Caine's own deep subconscious fears and anxieties, as well as being a specific jab at Kinger? Because there's no reason why it couldn't be both. Because one of the great things about like storytelling and truth and, you know, observation is that it's never just like one initial reading. It's always like multiple different things that kind of stack on top of each other or mix together in a very like strange way. Because it's like, oh, well, my wife is gone and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, that's Caine being malicious and telling Kinger, like, where's your wife, bro? But also Caine going like, I am becoming a monster and I do not wish to become this monster. I just wish to be loved in the way that children also kind of want to be loved, guys.
I just want some validation.
Yeah. Like, things can have multiple different meanings and be said in multiple different ways. And I think that's like a genuine, interesting, and super cool part of like storytelling. A lot of the best storytelling unironically has like double speak, and I love it because it's like, oh, there's so much layers here. There's some good shit, and I'm very fond of that. And so I implore whatever audience is watching me, maybe some people will come over from the Caine video I made, be willing to keep your mind open that things can mean multiple things at the same time and not just the singular thing. I think thinking in such individual binaries is a really easy way to just become rigid and not allow yourself to grow, is kind of a general Tommy advice that I'm trying to give.
Hit with me now, everyone. We contain multitudes. We can do both. No filter.
No filter. But also secondarily, it is like, if Caine was gone and he made the entire circus, the fact that there's still remnants of the circus remaining, even if it's colorless, it kind of tells me that like whatever blue thing Caine ate is now probably free? Question mark? Like that's
Maybe.
my run. Yeah, that's like my running theory about what's going on here.
I mean, that's something that I don't know that I've seen anyone touch on is like, how much are they aware of like what Caine did to the other AI? Like,
yeah.
they'd have to know that Caine ate the other AI, right?
I'd have to imagine so. Also, did they really have to sell this specific of jazz?
Well, I think they're selling like a whole bunch of the tortured versions of them.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the box, there's like a whole bunch of options there.
Yeah. Also,
And like Pomini doesn't look happy.
Yeah. Also, minor point. Like, and I only say this because the little portrait image popped up and it made me think of it. In the
Oh, I want a Kinger keychain so bad. Oh.
In the I'll buy it for you for your birthday. For the for the evil big tops that was introduced. I think it's really interesting that every character but Kinger gets an evil version, whereas like Kinger just gets a whole different identity, but that's like, I am Coach Dictator, and I think that's fascinating. It shows that there's specific beef with Kinger in regards to Caine, and I think that's very telling. But you know, also very fun for me because I think it's great whenever you have a very strong woman and she's very clearly shown to be like a lot better than the man she generally is with, which is very reminiscent of the queen piece, which is the most powerful on the board. I think that's fun.
I mean, we get like 0.2 seconds of her, and everyone already clocked at like she's the reason why Kinger is good at being Kinger.
Yeah, she saved him from being just a bad tech bro. Moral of the story, we need more women in STEM.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if that was the actual message at the end?
Little asterisk. Remember, go into STEM. Don't let the bros have it.
No. They
The
clear-
gays and the days also deserve to be there.
Also, like, coding used to be like a very, like, coding used to be considered like a very femme occupation because it was like, oh, you're dainty. You're not like a big, brawny, muscular man doing real construction type labor. No. And now it's like the tech bros have co-opted the entire fucking space and made it disgusting and actively ruin the world. Gee, I
It's
wonder
because
how...
there's money involved in it now.
No, I understand. And I'm like, this sucks. And I fucking... Anyway, women good. Tommy's final stance on the video. Women good.
Us shaking hands. Women very good.
Women very good.
I just want a crumb more of gummy goo. Please glitch.
Do you want Gummy Goo as he is, or do you want Gummy Goo in his
I just want him to be normal. Be a normal little Australian hat wearing guy. Just let Pomni have a friend. Just more friends. Let him do that. I don't know.
I really do think there's something very interesting and very telling about the fact that like Pomni's main colors are like red and blue, but Gummy Goo's is yellow and green. And there's something there that I'm like, what's going on? Because there's something going on there. Like Gooseworks is clearly saying something with colors, and I don't know what she's trying to say, and it's making me mad.
We'll have to go into like their color theory type stuff. That's a video in itself, really.
Honestly, it really is. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you stick around. Okay, bye. Go watch
Bye.
another one of my videos.